being responsible? Because my teachers and parents tell me this all the time. Well, I'm gonna tell you all about being responsible, but we're gonna try to have some fun this afternoon. So just a bit about me. I myself am a fellow Florida Atlantic University. I was in FAU Society of Women Engineers, SWE for short. I was the president. Tau Beta Pi, which is the elite engineering honor society, I was vice president. Still am vice president to this day. And I was the secretary of Altech, which is FAU's project making club. So anyone going to FAU, highly recommend that club for sure. And because I love learning so much, love engineering school, and love FAU, I am back still doing my master's in biomedical engineering, hoping to graduate sometime in 2024. It's a field I'm passionate about. And I currently work at Florida Power and Light as a transition engineer. Really glad to be back as an engineer, and I know that FPL is big on giving back and, not just delivering power, but delivering care to, charge up the new generation. I have to put that out there. So I've been there for 6 months, been learning quite a few things already. And of course, I gotta mention that I am a first alum. Shout out Team 3932, the Dirty Mechanics. Yeah. So I started at the beginning of 2018, and then 2020, the beginning is kind of where I fell through. I did business marketing, entrepreneurship, and I also did hardware stuff as well. So we're talking about engineering school, right? Thought I'd give you guys a quick introduction of the projects I did, because you're probably thinking, am I gonna sit at my desk all day and study? Yeah, you are, but there's more fun to it. So, first thing that I did, I know I mentioned that I was the president of SWE at FAU. I wanted to market our club as best as I could. So I decided to take it upon myself to make some keychains, because buying custom keychains gets expensive. So I learned how to use SolidWorks, designed these keychains, printed them using an Ender 6 3D printer, printed them in our organization's colors, purple, forgot what gold is, gold and silver. Printed, I think, 200 of these. So the society is still set to this day. So it was by printing anime cuts themselves, right? So I figured, how can I learn how to use the software, use the machine itself, and mess with the settings? So I uploaded so many pictures of my favorite anime characters and cut them out into life-size posters. And it was funny because at the time I used to live with my parents in college, and I'd see your background, where you're from, how far into skills you are. You can do it just as long as you're passionate and you really want to learn, then you can 100% get through engineering school. Because yeah, it is a little tough, not gonna lie, but you have what it takes to engineer through it. All right, so it's easier to keep track of any tasks that need to be completed. You know what's coming up, you know when it's due, therefore it reduces your stress, because you know what's coming up, you know when it's due, and you can allocate times to get those tasks done. And knowing those, and you're not stressed, you have a clear mind, you're focused, and you're able to complete those tasks on time. All right, so here are a couple tips that I used while I was in engineering school. Now this to me kind of bit me in the back, because when I was in high school and middle school, I never used a planner. I always winged it. I said, you know what, in college, I don't need a planner, I'm gonna save the money. First semester, I remember forgetting 10 assignments that I had to do. Didn't realize how. So I'm gonna start off with the most obvious advice, all right? And this is my favorite thing to do. Ready? Then you gotta study. I was able to write and study personal appointments that I may have, meetings. I was able to schedule those. And that brings me to my next point, which is to make a list. This one's pretty simple, but it goes a long way. Even myself at work, every Friday at the office, I always write a list of what is coming up next week. So that way I know what projects are coming, if I have to order material, have any meetings with somebody, I know to schedule accordingly. And of course, using online resources as well. So my favorite one was Gizmoa. This one's cool because if you look at the calendar itself on the program, right? So it's 7 days, you can put blocks of timing, label the timing. If you have a class or in a club that meets weekly, you can title it and put the name on there. Microsoft OneNote, for anyone who likes using tablets or their computers to take notes, do homework. This one's pretty useful, saves the paper, title it, take screenshots. I like that one a lot. And lastly, Microsoft Teams. So I use this one at work a lot. So this is useful as well when you guys are in college because you can make study teams, you can make some groups to put files in there, schedule calls. I know there is Discord, but I'm not really Discord savvy. I don't know if you can put files on there.
No.
You can't? Okay. So
You can, but only a certain amount. If you were to put more than, I think, like 20 MB, it will overload and you have to get Nitro, which allows you to post any files at all.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. So Microsoft Teams is your new best friend. So you want to know how it's going to feel internally when you're not organized? You're going to literally feel like this screaming cat right here. This is a visual representation of how it's going to feel. Yeah, you're going to scream like this cat. So please, be organized. Your parents probably, and maybe you've overspent at one point, realize you should have been financially responsible. Because in this economy, gotta watch out. So you're probably thinking, why should we be financially responsible, right? I'm going to put it in simple terms. Engineering school is already hard as it is, right? Why would you want to put more stuff on your plate to worry about? Right? You're going to be so focused on doing your degree, a little stressed at times, you don't want to have financial burdens following you. So that's why I'm here. Gonna give you guys a little bit of a crash course on how to maintain financial responsibility. Now the first rule that I follow is a 50, 30, 20 budgeting rule. This one I still use to this day. So as you can see by this pie chart, right? In the blue, the 50%, which is the necessities, will go towards, okay, I guess it's not going towards anything.
Trick question, everything's a necessity.
Absolutely, right? Okay, there we go. So 50% is your rent or your room and board if you're living on campus. Off campus, you got your rent, of course, as I mentioned, your bills, school supplies, the laptops, the pencils, notebooks, anything for your desk, and groceries. This one I had to really put some emphasis on because I know a lot of you are moving out of the house. And you're like, this is great. I get to buy all the snacks, all the TikTok trend stuff, whatever y'all see on TikTok. I don't use TikTok. But those add up very quickly. So you gotta be a smart shopper when you're going grocery shopping or buying any form of necessities. It adds up pretty quickly. And of course, 30% is the fun money, because believe it or not, you can go out as an engineering student. You can go out with your friends. So, you can save that money to go out with your friends, enjoy yourself, go shopping, spend it on your hobbies. For me, it's the 500 Funko Pops that I own because I buy 3 of the same one, one to keep in the box, one to take out, one to put in my storage unit. So it's good to have fun. It's totally fine. And of course, your savings for the last 20%. Because as we've seen during the pandemic, anything can happen. Anyone could potentially be furloughed from their jobs or accidents happen. That's life. And you don't want to feel financially restricted to take care of any business that you may have. So I always recommend people to save a good amount. So I recommend that you guys use this rule for any income or any check that you may earn, whether you're working or someone at home or whatever your situation may be is providing for you. Now another way to maintain financial responsibility, and this is my personal favorite, right? Ready? You're gonna apply for scholarships.
Yes.
All right? I love applying for scholarships. You wanna know why? Because it's literally free money. And when you're getting free money to pay for school and to pay whatever you need for, you have less student debt. So while going from high school to engineering school is a big transition, right? You're gonna have other big transitions in your life. You might buy a house or a car, marriage, kids. It will be a lot harder to enjoy those big and little things in your life when you have that restriction and burden following you. So I always recommend people to apply for scholarships. Where do you find them? FIRST has a lot of scholarship opportunities. There's a lot that you can apply for, and universities as well, they have opportunities as well. And they're not as intimidating as you may think. Doesn't take too long to apply, as long as you have a good relationship with a staff member, professor on campus, or at a technical kind of job. Even here on your teams, you can definitely get a recommendation letter and fill out the application under like 10 to 20 minutes. And of course, the scholarships can actually assist with paying for the 50% necessities column on the budgeting rule. So you can put more money into your savings and you can have a little more fun when you're going out with your friends as well. Health, both our physical and mental health, right? So this one seems pretty straightforward. We always, we know we have to take care of ourselves and be healthy, but just as a reminder, your body and mind must be in the most optimal shape to perform any task. So that's for academic life. When you're studying, doing projects, going to class, you want to make sure your brain and your body are physically fit and ready to, take on that task. Same with your personal life. We all have a life outside of school and work. We all want to see our friends and family and do other activities that we like. We always want to make sure that we're ready to go and we're having that positive energy. And of course, prioritizing your health is good to, manage any feelings or behaviors you may come across or feel while you're in engineering school. And if you're not really prioritizing your health, then you're more likely to get burnt out a lot often than you should. And burnouts are normal towards, the end of a semester, towards the holidays. Even myself at work and a lot of my other colleagues, during Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, we're tired. It's normal. But if you feel these burnouts coming consistently and more often, then that's a sign that it needs to be addressed. So, a couple of tips. This is one of my favorite things to do. Ready? Ready? Check this out. Okay?
Yes.
And check this out. Engineers can actually do this too. And engineers, including myself, we like to aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night. Because sleeping is good for the brain, it's good for your physical health. A lot of good things for your organs when you're digesting, your blood system, your nervous system, which of course is the brain. Altogether, it's very helpful to sleep. So, if you're not convinced, here's something I like to go by. You always see on social media and TikTok, people at the gym are making money moves or whatever you guys say nowadays. They're like, John Maxwell says, dreams don't work unless you do, right? You gotta put in the effort to make your dreams come true. But you know what I always say? How can you even have dreams in the first place if you're not going to sleep, right? Because that's how you dream. You gotta go to sleep. You gotta always be ready. You gotta feel good. You gotta be charged up. I'm sorry. All right, and another thing is listen to what your mind and body are telling you. So I'm going to be blunt. If you're sleepy and you're in bed and you're scrolling through Instagram, stop the scrolling and put your phone away. All right? Don't just put it away. If you're doing your homework, you feel like it's 1 a.m. and you're starting to get tired, just go to bed. Get the 7 to 9 hours and wake up feeling refreshed. Get back to it. Another thing, and I have to remind myself this constantly, don't be selfish about your health. If you need to step away from school to address it, that's fine. If it's just one day won't get you behind as you may think it would. Just one day where you're not doing any work and just taking time for you, finding the best self-care that works for you to address any issues is the best way to go. And of course, there are the ideas of forming healthy habits, having a consistent sleep schedule, healthy eating, exercising is also good as well. So there are a lot of ways to address, your feelings of physical health and of course mental health, because that's often overlooked. But I do want to say that, when you're in engineering school, you are going to encounter many factors that are going to, cause stress. And it's normal because it's a big transitioning point in your life. And sometimes doing those things that I just listed are things that I do, but sometimes it may not be enough. Maybe that one day just wasn't enough for you, and you might need to reach out to any sort of professional resources to learn how to cope with those feelings and, just be better at it over time. And those resources are available to you on campus. Most of the time they're free, sometimes they are low cost, but of course, it's always important to put yourself first and your mental health. You live one life, you're gonna wanna enjoy it the best you can. All right, so of course, why, right? Why should we pursue them? Well, it is a wonderful way to learn. You will learn what skills you have, and oddly enough, you're gonna learn what you're not good at. So when you keep putting yourself in those situations, grabbing those opportunities, you're gonna be able to improve on the skills that you need to improve on. And of course, at the end of every journey, there's an end. So at the end of the dark cave, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that they say. But when you go after opportunities, it makes it a lot easier for graduation. It makes it easier to find a job, an internship. So overall, it's to benefit you. So here are a couple ways to go about pursuing opportunities. Now, my favorite one is to network. Right? So with industry professionals and classmates, make friends in your classes. You know, you'll find that when you make a good study group, you choose the right people, those people become lifelong lasting friends, you know, forever connections that you may have. I still keep in touch with my kids with my friends from freshman year. So definitely a good way to network. And there's a LinkedIn, you know, LinkedIn workshop at 2 p.m. Be there, learn how to network on LinkedIn, and career fairs. Because I always say you gotta build your brand. So I always treat my name as if it was like an expensive brand, like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, because your name is important. Your reputation is absolutely vital. So putting yourself out there, getting those opportunities, and learning is the best way to build yourself. And you're probably thinking, what if I'm a freshman? What if I don't really have as many skills as I thought, right? Well, it's never too early to start, because what's important is that you're trying to take the initiative to learn. You're going after these opportunities. You want to learn, and that says a lot about somebody, and that's how you learn, and that's how you get far. Another thing, there's always that one question that everyone would ask themselves, okay, there's no opportunities for me, so what do I do? There's no internships, there's no jobs, not sure what to do. Well, you know what, you're an engineer, so we problem solve, right? So we can just make our own opportunities. So believe it or not, those 3 projects that you saw, those were not given to me. I had to go out of my way to learn how to use those programs, learn how to take measurements of something and make those myself. Because I wasn't able to get an internship. So because of that, focused on projects, became a leader in some organizationships as well. And that's how I got there. For my last piece of advice, enjoy your time in engineering school, 100%. Right? I know you're probably thinking, these are not going to be the best years of my life. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but it is. Even though I stayed up late a lot of the times, even though my classes were tough, even though I had struggled so much, I was okay with still staying up and studying. Wait, why is that picture there? That's not going to be you guys. All right, let's get rid of that. Everyone's going to be smiling the entire time, all right? Because being an engineering student is such an amazing opportunity. It really is, because people like us, we're the people who take what's given, advancements in science and technology, we use that for good reasons. So the last things I want to leave you with is, you know, engineering school is without a doubt. It's tough, it's challenging, and it can get hard, and sometimes you may want to give up. But you can problem solve, and you can engineer your way through it. And of course, you may find that you want to give up at some points, and you want to call it quits. Don't, because you are an engineer for a reason. You're sitting here in these seats for a reason, because you're passionate about it, and you're willing to put in all the time and effort to get through it. And that's important, So, just want to leave you all with a good luck, have fun.